Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to with our AEW Revolution 2023 review. Excuse me. I almost got through that intro perfectly. Before we dive into the big happenings at AEW Revolution 2023 as of last night, want to say thanks to all the friendos for hanging out with us. I know I had to dip basically around the third match of the show, and I want to give a special thanks to you, Larson, and the Enforcer for holding the day. Yes, you, rare moment of me saying thank you to you for holding it down. Sometimes things in life happen, and it could be rare. One last night, unfortunately for me, one of those rare instances where I literally had to be there for my family. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go into details, it's private stuff, but if it was one of those things that could have been, dealt with later, I would have. And I'm so grateful that I've got you and I got the Enforcer to hold it down. We've got the best mods in the business. Mm-hmm. And we have a really wonderful community that is very supportive, and they show their concern and not disdain for me being a human being with a family. But it was something that I absolutely needed to be there for. So I know we were going to do the review last night. Instead, we get to do it today. Maybe we'll have a fresh mind and some additional perspective. But I know we do have some additional news with regards to Revolution before we get into the actual card.
Yes, we do. Well, we can kind of talk about that in the context of kind of the highlights of the show, I suppose. And I'll kind of skip around here on how they're listed. So, yes, the Guns, they retain. The Acclaim did not win, but part of that was after the match, after the Guns retained, FTR made their return to AEW, even after Dax had seemingly said, to paraphrase, he didn't think Tony Khan was terribly happy with them.
Oh, Guess what? He said a lot of things,
Work. So, apparently. Anyways, PW Insider reported today, quote, the belief was that FTR are locked into long-term deals with AEW, and their disappearance and tease of going elsewhere was just a storyline cover. So if FTR are there potentially long-term, another 3 to 5 years, that's great, because FTR is one of the best tag teams in the world.
Yeah,
I know they've said this is probably their last long-term deal. And maybe the last time they're going to be last contract they're going to sign to be TV wrestlers. Mm-hmm. That's great. You got to expect FTR is going to take those tag titles off the Guns, but also you got the speculation if you go down the road in kind of a logical sense, given how FTR were tight with Phil.
Yeah.
You got to think is.
Hold on, dude. What? I smell a conspiracy coming up, Larson. Drop me a fat conspiracy.
This
Come on.
Conspiracy. This is informed speculation.
Oh yeah.
FTR's tight with CM Punk.
Okay.
If CM Punk was on the outs with AEW, and the potential was there for FTR to get a really good deal with WWE when they were free agents in April, and one of their better friends in AEW not only was out of the company, but on the outs with the company. It would make sense for FTR to say, all right, well, we're not going to stick around if you guys aren't going to show Phil the respect we think he has earned. We're going to go elsewhere.
I love
the fact that they're back.
Yeah, boom.
Maybe. Hasn't been confirmed. Maybe.
Oh, man.
More possible, maybe. Phil's coming back.
I think it's also the fact that MJF constantly and numerous times referenced CM Punk during the show last night, during the Iron Man match, the scrum. He literally dressed up he just put a white towel around him, had a beat up face, and ate a bunch of pickles as a counter to Phil's Muffin Mania. I think CM Punk is coming back. I think the Elite are gone. I think last night, everything we've talked about recently with the Elite, them dropping those titles to House of Black, and I think that I'd be shocked, I tell you, if they stick around. They're probably going to be gone, and they'll change the name of the company. All wrestling, because that's kind of what it is these days. That they're back. That seems to be, hey, they're happy. Dax did that. He's been on a roll with that podcast, dropping bombs every episode. And a lot of it seemed like it was maybe elements of truth when it came to like certain stories that he would tell. I think there's probably a lot of truth when he's actually, telling stuff that's going on, but also maybe some misdirection as well to lead people in a certain way. And they're back. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a lot of fun, and it leads to a good surprise. And I thought that's what it was at Revolution last night. I thought it was a good surprise to see them back. And yeah, interesting stuff. As far as, was there any other? I didn't look at looked at the notes here. Any other nuggets of info or no?
Oh, not really.
Like
I mean, after Brawl Out, it's hard to get a media scrum that's terribly eventful.
Yeah, they try, but
yeah. I guess one thing to maybe consider, to discuss, to debate is FTR's return. Now, we had speculated that they were going to be the winners of the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal on Wednesday, and then be in the actual tag title match and then beat the Gun Club to win those tag titles. Didn't happen. They decided to wait and have their re-debut at Revolution, and then I guess now they can have the match at Double or Nothing. They can have a Dynamite, whatever the case may be. They can tell a story, especially if FTR is going to be around for a bit longer, where they beat the Gun Club to win those tag titles back. If I guess if I had my druthers, but I'm but a wrestling podcaster, so my opinion doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, right.
I guess I would have been of the preference to have FTR win the Casino Battle Royal, actually be in the match, and actually win, rather than have the Gun Club. Because I know the Gun Club have done a lot of work, and they've improved a lot.
Yeah.
But the last two matches they've won for the tag titles, it's taken the air completely out of the building.
Yeah, crowd doesn't like them. Crowd
and not really in the way that, like, the heat that you probably want.
Crowd are completely apathetic, seemingly, to the Gun Club. They got that, what people like to call go away heat. I don't see it that way in terms of, because I think the Guns have put in some really good work, and I think that they're pretty good heels. But part of being a quote unquote good heel is getting a reaction from the crowd. They get no reaction from the crowd, so they got to work on that a little bit. Tony Khan obviously sees something in them. A bigger question for me is, where does this leave the Acclaimed? Are they going to move to the trios division? Is it a matter of, hey, these guys are so popular, we don't need the titles on them? I mean, after they lost to the Gun Club, they were still heavily featured on television. They were getting a feuds left and right, and they circled back around to being in this match. They're still going to be wildly popular. They could easily pick up Billy Gunn and feud with the House of Black down the road, I guess. But I mean, maybe this is going to be a situation where FTR takes it from the Guns, and they have a feud, and then the Acclaimed. The problem is, the thing about AEW right now is that you've got the tag division. If you had the tag division and the trios division all combined, you'd have like a really, really killer thing. But like, because they split that, because they added the trios division, it took the Young Bucks out of the tag division. Yeah. And the Lucha Brothers were in the pre-show, which that shouldn't be the case either. No. So they've sort of scattered a lot of the tag teams. And so like the big names are just left over. It's like FTR and the Acclaimed are sort of the big names. The other team in the match was the Thrown Together team. It was Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. And I feel like that was just to put Orange Cassidy on the card because he's really popular. So yeah, I don't know. It was incredibly, it deflated the crowd, but I guess he did that knowing full well that FTR was about to lift them back up. They beat, the Guns, and you've got FTR with the AEW tag titles. And hey, maybe at that point, if they have signed a deal, maybe you do a thing with the Young Bucks on their way out and have FTR win that decisive third match between them. And then you revisit the Acclaimed. What are we at? We're at Revolution. The next one's going to be Double or Nothing in May in Vegas. Yeah.
That was announced officially during the pre-show, the kickoff show.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. I mean, you used to see it in WWE where, Vince would keep the title on somebody that really didn't resonate with the crowd just to try to keep it going, try to get them to resonate with the crowd. The title, see if the titles are going to mean something to the group and get that reaction that they want, as opposed to wait for somebody who gets the crowd reaction and then put the titles on them.
Yeah.
That's what we're going through with the guns right now. So, I mean, the answer is, I don't know. I mean, clearly FTR is back to win those tag titles. That's going to happen. There was that that Twitter account that prognosticated
wrestling. Yes.
as much. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it boosts up the tag division quite a bit.
Just having FTR back for sure.
Just that alone. Yeah, it does.
I guess in hindsight, definitely, I don't think it was the right move to put the titles on the Gun Club. I mean, you could have kept them on the Acclaimed, or the Acclaimed even could have won last night. Still have FTR return. They still could feud with the Gun Club on the way to trying to get back those tag titles. Because the story with the Gun Club is not just about FTR wanting to become champions. It's personal at this point.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need the titles involved right now for that story to see itself through.
Yeah.
They could have had the Acclaim win. They celebrate. They leave. Gun Club pick themselves off the mat. Dun, 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 dun. FTR music plays. They come out. Shatter Machine. Crowd goes crazy. Dax gets busted open somehow.
Yeah, and then they revisit FTR with like the Acclaimed if the Acclaimed had wanted it. But like in terms of the Acclaimed, like again, I don't know what they do at this point, because if FTR and the top heels, I guess, the Guns, are going to be doing one thing, Acclaimed already had a thing with, Team Jarrett.
Yeah.
And then I don't know I mean, look, if you told me, hey, Lucha Brothers are going to go bad guy and they're going to do a thing with the Acclaimed, sign me up for that. I'm fine with the, if the Acclaimed don't have the tag title, I think it's a silly move not to have the Acclaimed have the tag titles.
Yeah.
But you got to feature them because they're popular. They draw ratings. And that's the thing that Tony Khan's always going to look at. And he's going to look at the people who draw, not who could I get to draw down the line and build those people up. He goes with what's hot now. The Acclaimed got themselves into that position. Yep. So I think they still have to be on TV.
Yeah, I would think so.
But, I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, the Acclaimed still the most overacting the entire company. You can't, you'd think, not have them on TV.
Well, they're like they actually draw ratings numbers, which we know Tony Khan. This is the reason apparently
That's
women.
The thing,
he doesn't have women on the show all that much because he, in his estimation, according to his metrics, they don't draw, which is silly because you're supposed to feature them and
you book interesting stories.
Then you get them to draw.
Then you get
Yeah.
Anyways, MJF had he had an Iron match with Bryan Danielson. Spectacular bout. Bloody. A lot of blood.
Oh yeah, so much blood.
A lot of
physical. A lot of blood on the show last night.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood.
Tons of blood.
Bloodbath. We expected Mox and Paige to be a bloodbath, and that delivered.
Yeah.
I expected this to maybe have some blood, but gosh, especially MJF. Shit.
Yeah, like I don't know when it was in the match, but there was a certain spot. I think it was like a kick to the head or something, and it just like.
It was after the diving headbutt from Danielson.
That's what it was. Yes. Yeah,
and it was just pouring down his face.
It was a lot.
Much.
Yeah, both dudes. Danielson had like something busted around here because like his lips were both just caked in blood.
He looked beat to shit last night at the end.
He
of the
really
match.
did. Yeah,
after he hit that
loved
spider
every second of
suplex
it.
and he kind of got himself out of the tree of woe. He just looked like he was beat up.
So a lot of people I've seen a lot of people on Twitter or what have you say this is the greatest Iron Man match ever. Do you see this as being greatest Iron Man match ever?
I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen every Iron Man match ever, so I don't have the most informed opinion to state whether this is or not. I thought it was a really good Iron Man match. They did a really good job of keeping me invested and interested in the match for the entire duration of it, including overtime. I never felt bored.
That's important.
Yes.
Like it's 60-minute, especially 60-minute Iron Man. Like for my money, like the 30-minute Sasha Bailey. That's like one of my favorite matches of all time. But if we're talking 60 minutes, this was a compelling fucking match from start to finish. It was.
It really was.
It really absolutely was. And I thought, the finish, and I appreciated that they did the thing where, okay, why wouldn't a person just continue to pin another person, to rack up the pinfalls, like MJF did. You sacrifice one with the DQ so that you can get two more, and that's what evened it up to 2-2 once Danielson went up 1-0. So I liked, I thought it was a compelling match. I really did, from bell to bell. I think it's history is a lot. You got to look, you got to look at context, but I think history is going to look back on this as being like, wow, they told a compelling story for all 60 minutes. I wish that they had kept the clock up for the entire time.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they told an absolutely compelling story for 60 minutes. I'd like to go back and revisit it a couple times, and see like sort of the match breakdown, what happened from, chunk to chunk, and see how they took that story. Cause you got to go back and analyze the whole thing to really get a grasp on it. But, no, I thought it was an absolutely compelling match. Maybe best ever. I don't know. Like you said, I haven't seen them all. I hardly remember, I remember when I first saw, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, their Iron Man match, not the most, compelling, pure 60 minutes in the world.
Yeah.
But I respect it. I know it was sort of a history-making thing. HBK versus Cena on that episode of Raw, that was probably pretty solid. I think I remember liking that quite a bit. Yeah. But in terms of like a big stage, a big deal, and being able to tell a compelling story, 60 minutes, 65 minutes.
Yeah.
They did a pretty damn good job.
They did, and the ebb and flow of the match was well put together in terms of when the pinfalls happened. In hindsight, maybe the largest issue with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart is that it went to overtime 0-0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're really only on the edge of your seat, like at the very end of the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When someone racks up an early pinfall, the pressure's on the other person to catch up.
Yeah.
And so you have that give and take over the course in the entire bout. So I thought this would be a situation where they each score a pinfall and either late in regulation or in overtime zone to get the deciding one. That's not the route they went, and I'm happy they didn't. They weren't afraid of to have MJF get pinned or to tap out. And I thought that was a wise move because it increased the entertainment factor as opposed to, just have it be a pure battle of attrition till the absolute end.
We have a correction here. Biffmeister here in Twitch chat says, clarification, Cena HBK was not Iron Man. They just went 60. My apologies. Yeah, okay. What you're saying is absolutely correct. Load up those pinfalls. Like make, especially in this day and age, man, attention span ain't what it used to be. You got to bring those people in. And if you're going to do it using one of the most cunning heels in the game right now, MJF, hey, let's, sacrifice a pinfall, kick a guy in the dick, and then go for a couple of quick pins. And then later on, him, furiously trying to find a way to cheat, using the dynamite diamond ring, using the fire extinguisher, the oxygen tank. Yeah, that's what it was, the oxygen tank. And on top of that, getting those bottles of water, keeping hydrated. They told the story, Danielson saying, you don't have the cardio. Yeah. Well, MJF went to the water bottle for that. MJF stalled a lot to save his cardio. So, he didn't, but he was smarter. He was more cunning, and he was willing to cut more corners for that 60 minutes, 65 minutes to get the job done.
But it wasn't like he exclusively cut corners, though, either. So it wasn't like MJF put up any sort of illusions that he was going in this match to out-wrestle Bryan Danielson.
Right, yeah.
He's out. His whole point was, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get the win. And because I always win, I am best. That's his thesis, essentially. And so, yes, he cut corners, but at the same time, it's not like he got completely and totally out-wrestled the entire match.
Right, yeah.
He held his own for a vast majority of it. It was, he did the low blow because he was down 1-0, maybe panicked a little bit. And then capitalized it, bang, bang. 2 quick successive pinfalls. And then otherwise, I think there was one other low blow, and then he tried to use the diamond ring, couldn't do it. Had to use the oxygen tank.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like oxygen tank pinfall. He wins.
That wasn't entirely successful. Yeah, Danielson kicked out of I think the Heat Seeker after that, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then Danielson and Mox in the same night tapped out. Yeah, which I think was a pretty big deal as well.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking that Mox tapped. We'll get to that later. We got new trios champs. House of Black defeated the Elite to claim the trios titles, which they desperately needed.
Yeah, they needed this, especially with the trios division being basically them and the Elite, and then a bunch of other teams that we know are not going to beat the Elite. It had to be House of Black, and if they were going to do this now, it had to be now. I thought they would extend out the Elite's title run a little bit further. I hope this means, dude, I really hope this means that they have got bigger plans for the Elite. Maybe get him out of the trios division and get Kenny on a solo run again.
They should do Kenny and MJF.
They should do that. I'd love to see a solo match with Kenny and Malachi because the stuff between them in the ring last night was really amazing.
It was really good.
And I've mentioned this to you several times. I think I mentioned it here on the stream. We did a count out last week. It was AEW's best storylines. And you look back at the early history of AEW a couple of years ago, and Kenny was so vital to the company. I know they signed a ton of people since then, but Kenny was so vital. And all that time he took off after he was the biggest deal, he comes back. And unfortunately, right after that was Brawl Out, he's out for another 2 months because of suspension.
Yeah.
And they need to focus on getting him back, assuming the Elite, are staying. Which I still think is dubious, but I mean, hey, even if they're going to stick around until their contracts are up, they're still looking at 6 or 7 or 8 months.
Well,
or
that's
whatever.
the rest of the year.
That's the rest. Yeah, that's the rest of the year. Yeah, I think Kenny was supposed to be like November, but still, that's like
but the Young Bucks contracts aren't up till next year. Apparently.
Yeah, 8 or 9 months or whatever it is.
Yeah,
like they're a draw too. Their name is in the company. You got to use them. And Kenny needs to feel vital again.
Yeah,
and maybe this is going to be a bit of a reset for them. House of Black have those titles.
Yeah.
Maybe they can continue to build up the trios division. So they've got some good, but I don't know what now the House of Black has the titles, dude. What do they do next with not a lot of options out there for opponents?
I don't know. They're going to wreck a lot of teams. They're going to have a pretty substantial reign, I would think. And I guess the I could deal with feuds where the outcome might be predictable if there's an interesting story involved in it. Mm-hmm. And if they come up with interesting stories, seemingly a pretty massive task for AEW these days. Interesting stories involving the House of Black, regardless of who they necessarily feud against. It could be compelling stuff if it helps add layers to the House of Black mystique.
You're given the book. You're given the pencil.
Yeah.
Tony Khan says, hey, Larson, screw Fat John Cena. I don't want to talk to him. I just want to talk to you.
All right.
What do I do with House of Black? Who should step up first?
Miro.
And whom? Who could you put with Miro? Because I like that idea. That's great.
As far as who I'd put with him, I really had to think about that.
Yeah,
I can't think of anybody immediately who would be a solid fit.
Yeah.
But you got to go back to the Miro story.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Maybe it starts with Miro, just Miro.
Yeah.
I want pagans. I want to defeat you all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could do. You could go back to Death Triangle, I guess.
Yeah,
sort of
kind of feel like that's a reminder of kind of the days where, and I understand injuries and other things got interfered with how that story was probably going to progress, but it's just a reminder of that's when things weren't really going too well for House of Black.
Frolicious brings us up here. I don't know if I like it, but they did. I think they teamed once. They did. Darby and Sting and Miro.
They did, and Darby got the pin on Malachi. That was the day that the Malachi kind of waved goodbye to the crowd for a bit.
I mean, if Darby and Sting, we're talking about the tag stuff. If Darby and Sting, if they want to do a thing with the Acclaimed or FTR or whatever.
Well, here's another thing too. If Phil comes back, have him team with FTR, have them compete for the trios titles too. Why not?
Oof, I don't like that because they probably win them.
Nah.
You don't think so? I don't know,
Huge
man.
win for Malachi.
I don't know,
and
man.
for Brody and for Buddy.
Yeah,
that'd be
great. That'd be awesome.
Cash.
That'd be awesome.
They could pin Cash.
They could pin Cal. What did he ever do?
Nothing. Cash is great.
Yeah, man. It's because he's not on the podcast, huh?
Well, he doesn't get singles matches either.
Yeah. Ooh, let's talk about this.
Yes.
So Jamie Hayter got the roll-up win on Ruby Soho to retain the women's title. And then when everybody thought, including Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, that Ruby Soho was part of, I guess, Team AEW, or at least anti-outsiders of Saraya and Tony Storm, Ruby Soho drops Jamie Hayter with what is the kick thing that she does? She kicked her in the head.
No future.
And then she gave Destination Unknown to Britt Baker.
Yeah.
And then she officially, and she got the spray paint. That's what it is now. It's not a T-shirt. It's a spray paint.
Got paint the L.
She spray painted the big L.
Yeah.
On Jamie and Britt.
Yeah.
So now she's part of this. Man, Again, I don't want to dive into hopeful fantasy booking, but Ruby is with the WWE, the Outsiders. Jade joins Jamie and Britt. Or are they going to do like Thunder Rosa? You got to do Jade.
They should do Jade.
You got to do Jade. It makes
1,000%.
sense.
1,000%
She's homegrown.
I know. 1,000% should be Jade.
And you do Blood and Guts.
I did like how they presented Ruby as aligning herself with the Outsiders, because it didn't seem like it was a premeditated thing. It seemed like while she was dealing with the frustration of losing that match, where at several points it seems like she had it won.
Yeah.
She seemed like she had that match won at several junctures, and it slipped through her fingers. That she took that moment in the corner and was just seething about it and upset, and it felt like her joining the Outsiders is, in her mind at that moment, it seemed like the easiest route to becoming champion, as opposed to aligning with the AEW team. Because if she aligns with Britt and Jamie, there's no chance of her getting that title.
Yeah, that's
Zero.
what she wants. Yeah, she wants the title.
She wants the championship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, really, Ruby is the only person in this feud. I know what her goal is, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, to a certain degree, Jamie and Britt are defending the honor of AEW. I get that, but that's nebulous compared to going after a title. I still don't know what Saraya and Tony's like.
Well, I think, I do. I mean, you can sort of put it together. Like, they're like, hey, we're coming in here. We want to run this place. Well, who runs it right now? It's all these AEW homegrown people.
Fair enough.
We want to run the place. We want the power. We want the gold. I mean, I kind of get it. And so, but now they've got Ruby Soho is now that Ruby's a bad guy, is she going to be the Hogan brother, where at the next big, theme Dynamite, is she going to take that title off of Jamie Hayter?
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good idea. And then you have Jamie win it back, and then down the road, maybe even not a Double or Nothing, a Full Gear, you can do the Britt Baker turn, because I think everybody sort of expects that. But you can kick that way down the road now with this storyline.
Yeah, you can. You can. I mean, at least now with Ruby making the decision, all right, I feel like there's actual direction, hopefully, to the story, instead of just being set up for story.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like everybody's motives are a bit clearer, so that's good.
But if you do, because you can also do what's it called? Blood and Guts. First Women's Blood and Guts. And if it doesn't have to be 3-on-3, who's bringing up here? Ryan K. Lamb here says Ruby, Tony, Saraya. Thunder Rosa really wouldn't fit, because she wasn't
like Athena.
Athena would be fantastic. I was just thinking that Athena would be perfect. She's a champion, number one. She's a phenomenal wrestler. And then you get Jamie, Britt. I think I read or saw somewhere, I think Sheeta's back in Japan. I don't know if she's like hanging out right now in AEW. But Jamie, Britt, Jade, and maybe Thunder Rosa. Yeah. Especially Britt and Thunder Rosa with their history and all the shenanigans you've heard about backstage. But even their dynamic on screen. Yeah. Man, it's like, hey, we used to fight, but we're cut of the same cloth.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a hell of a team, and that's a hell of a match right there. A Blood and Guts match with those 8. Are you kidding me?
I know, that'd be great.
That's a killer match right there.
I mean, at a certain point, sooner the better, they got to start expanding the scope of this to involve more people.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and have it play out on Rampage and Dynamite and stuff on a regular basis. Because then there's potentially a lot of really good stuff. So do it. Expand the scope of it. It doesn't have to be like half, like a 20-on-20, but you can do 5-on-5, 6-on-6.
Yeah. And dude, on top of that, like they need one of those big stories that like sort of fuses through like the DNA of the shows. Yeah. They need that. It was kind of what like the belt collector stuff was with Kenny, how it sort of just infused into the show, and it made it all feel like one big thing. Well, if you wrap like the entire women's division across multiple segments and multiple matches per show, then you're onto something. And that's a storyline that will draw. That's a storyline that people will tune into, but like, whoa, what happens next? Who's going to join what side?
It's one of the elements which made the NWO work, but then it got too large. They expanded too much.
Yeah.
People wanted to know who's going to join this week. Who's going to be offered a shirt and turn him down.
And they need a cool logo.
Yes.
That's what the bad guys need. They need a cool logo. Whoever designs Ruby's stuff in general, her packaging is immaculate. That kind of punk thing. Oh, man. Design a cool logo and you can sell like a ton of shirts.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Anyways, let's go ahead and start with our actual recap of the show. Kicked off in the kickoff. What do they call it? The buy-in?
0 hour.
Oh, thank you. 0 hour. Buy-in's at the Double or Nothing, I think, isn't it?
No, I think they rebranded buy-in to 0 hour.
Oh, to 0 hour? I thought buy-in it'd be like the casino-based show, but
it was. So I think for All In it was 0 hour, and then they rebranded it as the buy-in for Double or Nothing, and they just kept that. But I remember reading something where Tony Khan liked the 0 hour name and brought it back to Ring of Honor, and now it's going to be used for AEW. Maybe they'll still use buy-in for Double or Nothing. I don't know.
It was a big DC Comics thing back in the early 90s. 0 hour.
Yes. Remember that?
With Wave Rider.
Don't remember a Wave Rider. Remember the 0 hour branding.
He was a time traveler guy. He was a herald from the future. He was like, oh, everything's going bad. Sorry, I'm a nerd. Anyways, it kicked off in the 0 hour buy-in. Hey, by the way, are we going to, if they do a Star Cast in Vegas, are we going to do that? Yeah, man, we should do that shit for Double or Nothing. Anyways, they kicked off with Mark Briscoe, Club Ice, and the Lucha Bros versus the Varsity Athletes and Ari Daivari. Hey, shout out to the Varsity Athletes. And Ari Daivari for having themed gear. They look like $1 million.
Yeah, that gear
for when they took the loss here.
Yeah, this was a fun match though. Everybody in this match is an awesome wrestler. So down towards the finish, match breaks down, and Briscoe's looking for a Jay Driller on Josh Wood. Instead, Sterling gets on the apron to distract him. Then Briscoe turns around, gets blasted in the head with either a cookie sheet or a tablet or something.
It was something. Yeah, it got annihilated.
Yeah, he gets covered. He kicks out. So Phoenix hits Nice with a spin kick. Penta hits Nice and Daivari with that gory bomb fear factor combo he does. That's amazing. And then Briscoe follows with Froggy Bow on Daivari to get the win. And after the match, Penta hits Mark Sterling with a fear factor.
Yup.
So they win and get all the heat at the end.
Oh, absolutely, man. They got it all. We got to get those Lucha Bros back up on the regular show, man. They got to get involved in a good.
You got that right.
I say have them, have them both do. What Pentagon? What was it when he was like the dark version of Pentagon?
Oh, Penta Dark.
Yeah.
That's what it was in Lucha. That's his name in Lucha Underground. Was it Penta Oscuro? Is that
Oscuro,
what it was?
Yeah, Oscuro, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I just like, what was the dark version of Pentagon? Pentagon Dark.
Penta Dark.
Yeah, man, get them up, have them go back to being bad guys, and then have them take out the Acclaimed, and then you got yourself a hot story right there.
There you go. The
main show kicked off with Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks had the thinnest amount of rib tape. He had to cover like one rib.
It was rib tape in theory.
Yeah. It was the idea of rib tape.
Yes. It's like I want to put forth the idea that I have damaged ribs, but don't really want to protect said damaged ribs.
Hey, by the way, shout out to Chris Garrix, who at the last minute, because we had not communicated that we needed to do AEW pay-per-views too, he put together these notes so that Larson concentrate on reacting and engagement. Yes. So we appreciate that,
Yes,
Chris.
Thank you so much, Chris. Yes, that was a huge help. It definitely was. Thank you, Chris. This is a fun match. I was even down towards the end. I was like, is Jericho going to actually win this? Because just, I don't know. If the idea, even if it's not intentional, but if the idea that this is a feud told in reverse, that Jericho cheating to win this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But apparently Tony Khan was not trying to do the Mentos of wrestling stories.
I don't think he was trying to do irreversible here, dude.
not intentionally, at least, because Ricky Starks got the win. So down towards finish, he's looking for a Rochambeau. Jericho escapes, hits Code Breaker as Ricky was looking for a spear. That was a hell of a counter. Got a 2 there. They trade some shots. Ricky eventually hits a spear, gets a 2 count. Then Jericho locks on the walls. Ricky escapes that. Puts Jericho in a single leg crab, and then Sammy Guevara, who's supposed to be barred from ringside, at least a member of JS, runs down towards the ring, but Action Andretti takes him out. So Aubrey is distracted by all that. Jericho grabs Floyd, gives Ricky a shot in the ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for a Judas effect. Ricky blocks it. He puts up the arm to block it.
That was sick.
Hits a couple shots. Rochambeau to get the win.
What was more impressive? Ricky Starks blocking a Judas effect or Arn Anderson blocking a black
mass with the same forearm block?
That shit was awesome.
Yeah. That set Malachi back so far, having Arn Anderson block his finish.
Dude, that buried him. It really did. That killed him. He still hasn't recovered from that one, although he is trios champion. But yeah, the idea of Malachi becoming like a singles champion, like AEW champion, just dissipated.
It's like, really, I got to do is put my forearm up when he goes for his finish. That's all I got to do.
Right, that's all you got to do. Just
block it.
No, I don't need it. I think it's just Arn Anderson. He's got the algorithm.
See, and look, I know there's this trope: the older you can get in the world of professional wrestling, the more powerful you are.
Arn is so powerful. Let's talk about.
If he's so powerful, then why does he need to use the Glock?
I mean, those are good questions, man. I don't know.
Should be able to use his bare hands instead
to shoot bullets. After that, we had the final burial match: Christian Cage versus Jack Perry, Jungle
Christian.
Boy. Go on
with the turtleneck, with sleeveless turtleneck ring gear was amazing. That's his uniform for heel Christian. Is the turtleneck and the blazer.
I get it. I
only kind of wish that he had gotten a blazer, but cut the sleeves off so it was like a vest. He could have worn over his sleeveless turtleneck.
Maybe that was my problem with it. He didn't go far enough because he always wears those nice like suede professor jackets too.
Yeah.
So he cut the sleeves off those.
Yes. Make it a
and
vest.
then
or at least
maybe
wear the vest for the entrance. But the continuing the turtleneck thing, I was like, okay, that's a small detail that I appreciate.
So this was a casket match. They made it seem like a buried alive match at first, but then it was a casket match.
I mean, I guess you get put in the casket, and the casket drops.
That was the exact sound that it made too.
Some steam that comes up. You close the casket door, and it gets shot down under the stage. So I guess it was kind of a buried alive.
Yeah, well, yeah. The final burial. They're never going to do this kind of match again because it's so specific. It's like you put him in a casket and then he just falls.
Yeah, they pulled it off fine. When they got to the stage, especially it was physical.
It was a great match.
And they got to the stage and they had dirt that looked like in chat they said ground up Oreos.
Maggie said it looked like ground up Oreo dust. Yeah, the kind of sprinkle on top of ice cream.
Yeah.
I gotta go get a whole tray of those, man. Those are amazing.
Yeah. And they utilized the casket effectively, and it was. I mean, Jungle Boy finally did his concerto.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it would look nasty.
Yeah.
And got the win as we would expect. That was kind of the finishing blow, was that concerto on the stage.
The concerto was gnarly because you could actually see that the chair, like the seat of it hit the back of Christian's head.
Like the initial impact was on the top of the seat with the stage.
Yeah.
And then, it did hit Christian's head.
Yeah.
Jungle Boy put on the deal. The snare trap, he used the shovel to go through Christian's mouth. Shout out to Edge and the deal.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It was a fun bout, and if the point of the goal of this was to establish Jungle Boy as a more aggressive Jack Perry as opposed to Jungle Boy, and the mission accomplished.
The entire arc of Jungle Boy in AEW has been become Jungle Man.
Yes.
At one point he had a beard, then he got rid of it. I thought the beard looked great on him.
Yeah.
Then he got rid of it. He's got that, but somebody here in our chat suggested Tony Khan. I know those cost a lot of money. This cost a ton.
I'm sure
you think Kansas is expensive? Nah, Guns N' Roses.
I think some GNR is going to be way
Welcome
more.
to the Jungle. Oh, I think it'd be at least a 4-time multiplier over Kansas.
I don't know. Maybe Axl Rose is a wrestling fan. He's like,
that would be the caveat. If Axl
TK,
if he loves the graps, then TK would. Then Axl would be like, hey, tell you what, you can have it for front row ticks every stop. And then he's like, also, I need Dark and Elevation taping and Ring of Honor. I want front row tickets. And then Axl Rose will become the new Brock Lesnar guy for AEW.
Oh, that'd be something. It'd probably be Axl and Slash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. The two of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Duff McKagan still a guy? Is he still around?
Yeah, he still plays bass.
I know somebody. I think somebody passed away from Guns N' Roses.
Was Steven Adler the drummer?
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with them. I just thought somebody did. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope they're all alive and well. Those dudes used to party back in the 80s.
Got that right.
Man, oh man. He's still with him? Is anybody? Wow, one person voted nay on the sleeveless turtleneck.
Oh, Steven
poll
Adler's
here.
still alive. Okay, that's
All right. Good. My bad. Hey, me. I'm saying people are.
It was Axel, it was Slash, it was Duff, it was Steven Adler, and then Izzy Stradlin.
John says nobody passed away. All right.
Good.
I'm writing people off left and right these days. Apparently. Wow. Okay. Good. I'm glad. Anyways, so yeah, Jack Perry, the Jungle Man, welcome to the jungle, gets that win, and then the casket. What does it do again? Why that fucking pops me so much because it's so perfect. And then like a bunch of fucking smoke comes out of there.
Yeah, some smoke and stuff come out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know where that casket's going.
Oh, so let's talk about this really quick.
What?
Now that Christian has been buried alive, he's just going back to WWE, right? It's the anniversary of his contract. He's got to be out of the contract.
He was out for several months. He could have injury time tacked on to the end of his deal.
Oh, that's a good point. He could. Or Tony Khan's like, you know what? You're good. You did your job.
You're a veteran. You did what? Yeah, you did a good job here.
You had one major feud your entire time here. It was Jungle Boy.
I mean, he was the first person to beat Kenny during his belt collector run.
We don't like to talk about that here.
I mean, it's fact. You can't avoid that conversation.
I like to. What do they call it? Revisionist history. That one. I don't like that.
No.
That was so wonky. That was so weird.
I mean, he hit him with a kill switch on a chair. So.
Well, yeah, and I'm prettier. Yeah, no good.
Kill switch. That's what he calls it now.
Don't like it. After that, we had AEW Trios title match. The Elite versus the House of Ice Cream.
The three many titles.
We are the three many champions now. Yeah. So
another one of those matches where you can just name off moves and it wouldn't do it justice.
Oh, this was sick. This was great. There were so many. The fact that they can still book all these false finishes and get us wrapped up into it. Because we thought for sure, we're like, what? The Elite's about to win this shit? What is going on right now?
I know.
And then it didn't happen. And in
fact,
that
stretch where House of Black like all hit their finishers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the Elite all break at the pin. But then it went the other way where the Elite hit a bunch of their finishes. And all those pins got broken up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, God, the Elite are winning this, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. But then it didn't happen. It was House of Black.
It was House of Black they won. So, gosh, how far back to go? So House of Black hit Kenny with Dante's Inferno. Matt breaks it up. Mm-hmm. And so Brody takes him out with a dive. And so all three members of the House of Black are surrounding Kenny. And Malachi's doing the thing with his foot to lift him up for a black mass.
Yeah.
So then the Young Bucks pull Brody and Buddy out, hit super kicks on everybody. A triple super kick on Brody, except for a BTE trigger. Hit that. Matt covers. Buddy breaks that up. So Nick hits Buddy with an Enziguri, and they're looking for a Meltzer driver. On must have been Malachi.
Oh man!
And then Buddy breaks it up as Nick is springboarding off the ropes. He just drops him with a knee.
I don't know how this didn't just fuck up Nick Jackson.
I know,
because there's like, you sell or you put your hand at whatever you do. This looked gnarly. That looked gnarly on Nick Jackson. Yeah, that was a killer knee right there.
So then House of Black hit Dante's Inferno on Matt to get the win. We got a little bit of Malachi and Kenny. I want to see a lot more. Kenny's sell on the Black Mass was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Where he basically did the splits.
Yeah. Oh, that was sick.
Gosh.
Oh, that was so good. Yeah, dude, that's what I want to see Kenny back in cool solo feuds. And if House of Black has this to motivate more like tag matches and singles matches with Malachi, that's fine too. Have Malachi just go around doing cool shit in high profile singles matches. And then, I don't know, maybe he can beat maybe he can beat Orange Cassidy for the All-Atlantic. That might be weird. I don't want him in a feud with Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy loses the All-Atlantic to Miro. Miro and Malachi feud for that. How about that?
There you go. That's good.
Yeah, Malachi wins.
Well, Malachi can win it first because he's got the numbers advantage. And then eventually Miro recruits two friends.
God.
Yeah,
Jesus.
God.
Yeah, he's,
yeah. There you go.
2/3 of the Holy Spirit trio.
Yeah. And they can take on House of Black and they can trade titles back and forth a little bit.
There you go. Booked it. Do it, Tony.
Good stuff. Then we got the women's title bout. Saraya, Ruby, Jamie Hayter. They didn't give this match as much time as some of the other ones, but it was still pretty good for the time we got. As I mentioned, Ruby, several instances looked like she had the match won.
Yeah, right.
Something would happen. pin would get broken up, whatever. So down towards the end, Ruby hits Hayter with a Rana, gets a 2 there, setting up Hayter for another move. Hayter escapes that. Hayter's looking for a superplex, but then Saraya gets in there, Tower of Doom. Saraya locks on Page Tap Out, I don't know if she calls it now, on Ruby, and then Hayter just lays out Saraya with a massive lariat.
Yeah.
So then Storm gets taken out by Hayter. Ruby hits Destination Unknown on Saraya, and then Hayter breaks that up.
Mm-hmm.
So Ruby and Hayter are squaring off. Ruby goes for no future. Hayter blocks that. Jamie hits Haterade on Saraya as Ruby ducks it, and then Jamie and Ruby trade roll-ups until Jamie finally gets one to get the win.
Yeah, that last Haterade on Saraya was interesting because she was going for it on Ruby, and she extended, and Ruby ducked, and it went into Saraya instead. I thought that was a really clever way to get that finish. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Also, like during the entire show, but it was very noticeable in this match, they had that weird 8K camera setup thing, and I thought that WWE uses that. I don't even know if they still use it, but
I don't even know if they use it anymore.
They used to use it for entrances. And they used this in the crowd a couple times. I thought it was pretty interesting that they would do that.
One thing that was noticeable that how it was used in AEW seemingly as opposed to how it was used in WWE or even on like sports broadcasts. Depth of field wasn't this shallow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it felt like they're using a wider lens, so more of the background was in focus.
Yeah,
so it seemed a bit more natural in that respect.
And I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's why WWE had to, because it's it's nerdy film stuff. So
it is. After the match, or maybe it was even during the match, Tony Storm pushed the shit out of a cameraman.
Yeah, and then wrecked a camera.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that was like an indie worker with like a bunk ass camera or something.
I would think so.
Yeah, it looked like an like I don't know, Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
I was like, that seems like an expensive camera. Why are you doing that?
Heel Tony Storm's great.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
So then there's brawl. Storm's beating up Britt and Jamie. Saraya joins in. Britt gets to her feet. And then Ruby throws Storm and Saraya out of the ring. So then she's posing with Britt and Jamie. Bang, no future to Hayter. Destination unknown to Britt. So that's when Tony takes out the cameraman, smashes the camera. Saraya and Tony get the spray paint. They hand some to Ruby. They start painting the L's on Jamie and Britt.
So using the spray paint aesthetic. What would you call this group? NAEWO. That's terrible.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's going to be a lawsuit if they try something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know how it's going to go over in WB, Steve?
We gotta get that in here as like a gift for the pre-show and like Smash Zone and stuff for one of the like the alert box. They need to get like an alert if somebody unfollows us.
There we go.
Then we use that one.
Yeah,
that's good. Here we got some ideas here. Hey, I want YouTube chat and Twitch chat. Load up some names. Spray and Pay, the Vandals, the Graffiti Girls. That's terrible. The NYO, the New York Order. That's terrible. These are all awful. I'm glad they're awful.
Maybe that's why they're waiting to have a faction name because they can't come up with anything good.
There we go. The New Age Outsiders, New Women's Order, Women's World Order. Oh man, yeah.
I don't know.
These are all terrible. You guys are awesome at coming up with terrible names. The Non-Riot Squad.
Enforcer says
wrestling office. Yeah, there you go.
National Wrestling Office.
There you go. World Women's Entertainers. Who was that, Joe? That wins the world's Women's Entertainers. Oh, that's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Then we got Texas Death.
John Moxley versus Adam Page. Holy shit, I love this match.
This was fantastic.
This match was violent. It was amazing.
Yes.
It was so yeah, what was Page had new theme music.
Yeah, I had a cover of Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Is that what it was? I didn't recognize it. That's awesome. I don't know if it's going to stick around. I kind of like his regular theme.
Yeah, his regular theme's great, but like the new Tron was all black and red and a little more sinister
that was
looking.
Sick. That was really. I wonder if it's just for Texas Death, but this was it was really, really awesome.
Yeah, this match was spectacular. Again, it's just extreme violent move after extreme violent move. So I won't get into the
bricks were involved.
Bricks.
Yeah, there was a stomp on the bricks. There was There was what was it? The Deadeye on a chair with a bunch of
barbed
wire around it. There was a moonsault where he was wrapped in barbed wire.
Yeah. There was a couple planks of wood with barbed wire wrapped on it.
So Bucket Dipper here in our Twitch chat says Mikey Ruckus said this was just a one-time thing. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. So down towards the finish again, there was a couple boards with barbed wire wrapped on it. One was set up against the barricade. Mox set up the other against two chairs. So Mox pushes Page off the top through the barbed wire that was set up between the two chairs. The ref counts to 9. Page barely makes it back in the ring. Moxham hits it with the lariat. Count starts again. Page gets up, beats the 10 count. And then Mox goes for another lariat, and Page just eats it. But no sells it. He just stands. And then hits a huge lariat of his own.
Yeah.
He's looking for a buckshot. Instead, Mox counters with a Death Rider and then stomps him on a brick.
He does a stomp on a brick. How could we forget also, sorry, just before all this, so much fork. A lot of fork.
And it looked exactly like the fork that Abdullah the Butcher had that match that we watched on SmackDown with the white handle.
Yeah.
It looked the exact same.
Shout out to, I wonder if Abdullah had the same fork, like if he endeavored to have that sort of fork. But yeah, it was just so much stabbing a fork on head, raking across the forehead and just blood everywhere. It was
tons
awesome.
of blood. So Page gets up from the stomp on the brick. Mox locks on the rear naked choke. Page rolls out of it. Mox locks on the bulldog, and Page is out. And so the ref starts counting again as Mox grabs this hunk of chain that he got. It wasn't quite as thick as the hunk of chain that Mox and Kenny had in their lights out match, but it was pretty thick chain.
Yeah.
So he grabs that. Page gets up. They're kind of playing tug of war with the chain a little bit. Page hits Mox. He's looking at the bricks. He stacks them vertically and looking to deadeye Mox on those two bricks. Instead, Mox counters, but Page is able to choke Mox with the chain a little bit. Mox hits him with a low blow, wraps the chain around himself. Page hits him with a brick right in the head.
Yeah, that was sick.
So Page hits a buckshot, sends Mox over the top rope with the chain still around his neck, and is hanging him.
Actually hangs
over the top rope, and Mox taps.
He taps out.
Haven't seen that in AEW.
Yeah, that was gnarly. That was awesome. Oh man, that was fantastic. I really do. Man, I would, in better circumstances, I wish I could have seen that with you guys because that was really something special.
It was. That match was something else. Man, things happen. We're here for you.
Yeah. So, I know. But man, that was a really special match. After that, we had the TNT Championship on the line. Wardlow versus Samoa Joe. We had Hobbs with his golden donut up in one of the luxury suites, just watching this match, having a good old time. Yeah. Hopefully he'll get the win here in Sacramento.
I hope so. Gosh,
this coming Wednesday.
So huge if that happens.
Yeah. By the way, we are going to do a Friendo meetup.
Yes.
In Sacramento because we're going to Dynamite. Where we said so the bell is at like 4, I think. They're going to do some dark
they must
matches.
Be shooting stuff before Dynamite at 5. So we're thinking 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Yeah.
At Sauce is the place. It's a barbecue place right by the Golden One Center.
Right next to Golden One.
Right next to it.
Yeah.
So we'll be there at 3 o'clock. Come on by. Say hi.
Say hey. What's up?
Yeah, we'll be there probably until like 4. So we'll wander in right as first bell is happening.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we'll post all like those details again on our socials. Yep. Yeah, this was good. So you said I think privately you said you had kind of a problem with the.
I said it during the stream too. I didn't.
Was it the pre-show? Yeah.
I didn't really care for Joe losing to his own move.
My reason for liking that is number one, I think it adds a little dimension to Wardlow. But number two, Joe not taking power bombs. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that. And plus, Blackpool Combat Club tapped out. Joe passed out, and I appreciated that too. I thought this is a plenty fun match. Hard to follow up Texas Death, to be honest with you.
It really is. It really is.
But
it
you know,
really
Wardlow. One thing that Wardlow is a pretty decent wrestler, man. I think he's a really fun. He's got some cool stuff going on. But yeah. So, anyways, Wardlow hits a swanton, gets 2 for that. We're talking about towards the finish here. He goes for a lariat. Joe ducks that, locks in a coquina clutch. Wardlow very slowly is able to get himself to the ropes. Wardlow, he's doing the thing where the ref is like raising the hand, and he's able to power out of that, get his foot on the ropes. Death Valley Driver by Joe for 2, sets up for a muscle buster, but Wardlow's able to fight him off. Joe hits a chop. Wardlow slides out, hits a powerbomb on Joe. He rolls him over for another, but Joe hits a surprise lariat instead. Joe goes for a powerbomb himself and starts conducting the crowd, doing the symphony thing. But Wardlow escapes that, hits a headbutt and a rear naked choke, and Joe passes out. Wardlow is once again TNT champion.
I know, like from a story perspective, it makes a degree of sense, the idea that, when they were teaming, maybe Joe passed on some knowledge about the coquina clutch.
Makes sense.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But at the same time, you think, well, Joe, that's his move. Maybe he would know a way about how to counter, especially against someone who is inexperienced using it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge issue. I just saw it happen. I was like, I get it.
Oh, you just love Joe, man. You love Joe.
I do love Joe. I mean, if Joe had, if Wardlow had put that on and Joe had escaped and Wardlow hit a powerbomb and won, I wouldn't have, fine. You know, it wouldn't have been that big, huge of a deal. I just thought if the story is Joe maybe, or even Wardlow being around Joe so much, he learned a thing or two about how to put the clutch on. Well, Joe should also know how to counter it, especially against someone who isn't a submission wrestler.
Yeah, man. But Wardlow, he's special. He's special, man. He's special. Yeah, no, I was cool with it. I mean, I figured Wardlow was going to win that match. I would have marked out a lot more if Joe won that match, but it is what it is. You know, my bigger beef is that I hope that him and Hobbs now get into an actual feud, and maybe this title match will just, you know, justify an actual feud or something between these two, because I just want to see, number one, I want to see Hobbs win that TNT title. I want to see Hobbs be featured because he's great.
I mean, ideally, you know, we'll have Joe come out, cost Wardlow the match. Wardlow and Joe can keep feuding outside of titles, and then Hobbs can get that TNT title and have that for a while.
There you go.
That's what I want to see.
So yeah, Wardlow gets on the corner. He's raising the title. He sees Hobbs up there. Hobbs raises the giant golden donut, and you know, so we're gonna see how that plays out here in Sacramento on Wednesday.
Yep. Let's go Hobbs. Then we had the 4-way match for the tag titles. Gun Club champions taking on the Acclaim versus Triple J and Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Fun enough bout. Again, I don't really know why the Ass Boys had to win.
Yeah. You know, I mean, the thing about AEW
with the FTR outside the title picture.
AEW does a really good job at popping their crowd. You know, the people that go to AEW shows, man, they love their AEW, and they'll pop for everything. So it really does say something. It really does say something that he continually puts the titles, or he keeps those titles on the one team that don't get a reaction.
Get zero reaction. If Jarrett and Jay Lethal had won, reaction. Yeah. Cassidy and Danhausen had won, reaction. Of course, the Acclaimed had won, reaction.
Yeah.
No reaction.
Team Jarrett, they're those that are like, they're going to end up, if they keep on the trajectory, they're going to end up being so entertaining that people are just going to turn them face.
Absolutely.
But the Ass Boys, I don't know. It's just not. They're just grating. You know,
I know.
I like some of the stuff they've done, but it's like, I also recognize that if you're not resonating with the crowd, you're not resonating with the crowd.
Yep.
You know, why are you going to push the issue?
Exactly.
Really fun match though. Like a lot of really cool stuff going on. You had Cassidy and Danhausen visually on the same page coming out. I thought that was pretty neat. So towards the finish, we had Satnam Singh. Of course, this is a fatal 4-way, so there's no DQ. Satnam shows up in the ring. He throws the guns to the outside, and Danhausen faces off with Satnam Singh. So he tries to curse him, but Sanjay Dutt gets in the ring. He stops him. Danhausen breaks his pencil, takes him out, but then Satnam grabs Danhausen. Orange Cassidy comes in with a killer orange punch, and then Billy Gunn runs in, hits a famouser to Satnam Singh, so he's sort of out. The Guns then low blow their dad. The Acclaimed take them out. Austin gets double teamed by the Acclaimed. They hit the Arrival. They hit the mic drop, but Colton saves Austin. Colton then sends Bones over the barricade as Jarrett has a guitar. He's the legal man, tries a guitar shot on Max Caster. He ducks it, grabs a guitar. Aubrey grabs it away as Jay hits Max with the Golden Globe. And then we get a stroke by Jarrett. Max kicks out of that. Jarrett then pushes Aubrey. She pushes him back. Austin blind tags in, and he throws Jarrett into lethal. Danhausen tries to roll up in a German suplex onto Austin. He drops the pad and then misses the pump kick. And then Austin, the Guns rather, hit 310 to Yuma to retain. And the crowd just sort of says,
You're like, all right, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after the bout, Renee gets in the ring to interview the Gun Club or the Guns. They say, I have one question. Who's an ass boy now? They say, we demand respect. We've beaten FTR, the Acclaimed, Jarrett and Lethal. We're the best in the world. Dun, 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 dun. FTR's music hits. They come to the ring. They start brawling. They hit Colton with the assisted spike pile driver, shatter machine on Austin Gunn. At some point, Dax gets busted open. He's bleeding from his eyebrow. It's good to have FTR back, but again, I feel like they could have feuded with the Gun Club outside the title picture.
Yep, I agree with that. And then we had our main event, MJF versus Bryan Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match.
Yep, this was something else.
What do you think of MJF's entrance, man, with that fancy, all like the string?
Oh, that was cool. He had the devil mask back on and everything.
The devil mask back on. Kind of looked a bit Spirit Halloweenish. But I liked the musical arrangement there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would have been. I mean, it would have been interesting. People in chat were pointing out the last time he actually had that mask was, of course, last time we saw Phil.
The CM Punk references were endless in this match.
Yeah, there was a lot of CM Punk references. There's a lot of Shawn Michaels references in here too.
Yeah.
I mean, the MJF did the pose. He did the elbow off the top to the table.
Shawn Michaels like Bryan Danielson's first trainer, I think. Wasn't
his first trainer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So the first fall comes about 35 minutes in when Bryan Danielson hits MJF with a knee plus. He's up 1-0, like right afterwards. Danielson's in the corner looking for another one. Yes, chance. He charges MJF. MJF collapses, hits Danielson with a low blow to get a DQ, so it's 2-0 Danielson, but then MJF rolls him up, covers him twice, bang, bang, to tie it up 2-2. And then later on, Danielson gets busted open. MJF is there like, it was like he's trying to pop a pimple on Danielson's head. Like, try to get the blood out of that cut.
Oh, yeah.
He's like sticking his fingers in it and pushing it and all sorts of stuff. And there's blood coming out all over the place. Hits a heat seeker to score a pinfall. MJF is up 3-2. Later on,
that was after the big table elbow spot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he puts Danielson on the table.
Oh, because it was a table spot, and then after that he hit the tombstone through what was left of the table.
The tombstone onto the table is supposed to be what busted him up. Yeah. That was really good stuff.
That was good. Later on, MJF gets busted open via a top rope headbutt from Danielson. Danielson hits the knee plus Regal stretch. MJF taps. Is tied at 3.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So we're down to the last 10 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no. This is closer to like 2 minutes. So Bryan puts MJF in a single leg crab. And he's just leaning back, wrenching hard. MJF is fighting the urge to tap. His time is ticking down. Eventually, MJF. And then Bryan grabs MJF's arm, wraps it around, and literally as the clock hits 4 zeros, MJF taps.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Match is over. It's initially declared a draw. You got doctors in checking on Danielson and MJF. Shivani gets
oxygen on MJF. Yeah.
You get Shivani. He gets word from TK. Sudden death. The match will continue. So the bell rings. Bryan's up, and he's fired up.
Oh, yeah.
He's ready to fight.
And MJF thinks, hey, I went the distance. I retained my title. I'm good. So he doesn't want to get involved in this, but he's stuck.
Yeah, he is. So he pushes Bryce Rebsberg. Danielson rolls him up, gets a 2. MJF hits another low blow, gets a 2 count there. He grabs the belt. Bryce takes that away from him. He goes and gets the Dynamite Diamond Ring out.
Well, I like that because he has the belt, and Bryce is like, you want to do that? You get DQ'd. He wins by, 4-3. So go right ahead and do it. Yeah. And so he gives it. And of course, Bryce takes all day. So his back is turned, like getting rid of the title.
Yeah. So then Danielson hits Poison Rana, a running knee. MJF kicks out of that. Danielson kicks at MJF's knee and locks on that single leg crab again. This is when Bryce notices that MJF has Dynamite Diamond Ring on his hand. He takes that off. MJF again trying not to tap. He eventually crawls to the ropes, rolls out of the ring, and as he gets to grabs the bottom rope, he starts tapping.
Yeah.
To make Danielson think that he tapped out.
Mm-hmm.
So Danielson's celebrating, thinking he won, and Bryce is like, no, you didn't win. MJF cut to the rope. So while that's happening, MJF's on the floor, and he sees the oxygen tank that the doctor had brought to the ring. And so he's holding it, and he's looking up, waiting for Danielson to come get him. Danielson reaches to the ropes, bang, hits him with the oxygen mask. And then he locks on a label lock.
Mm-hmm.
And we think Danielson at this point is out. So Bryce lifts Danielson's arm up. It falls once, it falls twice, and the third doesn't fall. So Danielson tries to get out, and MJF still has the label lock locked in. But Danielson can't get out. Mm-hmm. He starts to fade. He fights at first, fades, and eventually he has to tap.
Yeah.
So MJF wins 4-3.
And then he demands people eat pickles in the media scrum.
Yeah.
No, it was a phenomenal match. It really was.
Yeah, it was
absolutely phenomenal. Probably, where's the notes here? I'll give it consideration for match of the year. What's our match of the year right now so far?
Let me check.
Was there something at Wrestle Kingdom that was really good?
Well, I'm sure.
I think match of the year right now is probably the prospect of Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus.
Yeah, that's high up there. It's probably Okada.
Ospreay Kenny was that was probably my match.
Yeah,
that was so good.
And then there's something else here. Hold on.
God, all that table stuff they did in that match. Holy shit.
Oops.
I'd have to give this consideration though, for real.
Oh, Roosh and Danielson was really good.
Oh yeah.
That match was
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was bloody. What?
All right, so let's go ahead and answer some questions. I put up a question thread for members on our channel, and I did one for patrons as well. Oh, let's talk about this before we dive into that. So we don't officially know who won. We do know who didn't, you or me.
Yeah.
So for the Big Red Predictions Challenge,
closest. Yes,
I came closest with, right now I got 47. Well, I have 47 points.
Yeah.
Right now there are two people who have 49. Yeah. One of them got damn close to predicting the actual time. I think they had like 65-14 or something like that.
65:06, I think.
And it was 65:20. Is that what the final time was?
Yeah.
So we think we have a winner, but I know you want to make sure and double check.
Yeah, it would, for 65:04. Yeah. It would require someone sweeping the card and then getting 5 of the 6 prop bets to get 50 points. And I'm still going through to make double and triple checking to make sure I haven't missed it. But as of right now, I don't see a path for anybody else to take the lead. But I want to be thorough and make sure I don't miss something. So we're not going to announce the winner until tomorrow.
Right.
I'll announce it tomorrow. While I'm watching Raw, I'll double check everything and just to make sure.
Hold on a second. I got to do one thing.
I'll ask some questions. Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve there says, what is one rule in wrestling that you would change? Steve there thinks I would change the rule that the champion keeps the title if he's DQ'd. Theoretically, a champion keep kicking people in the front area and never lose their title. That's correct.
That's the same one for me too. I don't like the DQ thing. I don't like that.
You don't like champion's advantage?
count out either. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that.
No, if you lose, you should lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Rob Conway guy asks this is just AEW matches. Where does MJF versus Danielson rank as best matches in AEW history for you guys? For me, it's number 1.
Best matches in AEW history. I'd have to revisit some, but I remember liking Cody Dustin quite a bit.
Cody Dustin was good. Young Bucks versus Kenny and Hangman. Kenny and Pac's 30-minute Iron Man match was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
And that was just on TV.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're talking just straight up AEW matches or Iron? Okay. Yeah. Britt and Thunder Rosa, the Lights Out match.
Lights Out, yeah. Yeah.
Kenny and Mox Lights Out. That was really good.
Yeah.
Punk versus MJF was really good.
Oh,
Punk Kingston, I really loved. It was a little bit on the short side, but that was sort of the point of the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Fear and Loathing says Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers in the cage.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah. Yeah.
That was really good.
That squash match when Brody beat Cody.
That was fantastic.
It's the only time I'll be okay with with Cody losing. Jonathan Vieira says, with all the different businesses Tony Khan's involved in, do you ever see him taking a step back and having somebody else take full or partial creative control of AEW?
No.
I have no evidence to suggest that'll ever happen. So for now, I'll say no.
I'd say it's more likely that he has someone help him with his other duties with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with Fulham.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He'd probably hire someone else to take on some of those responsibilities before he'd ever give up any of his control in AEW.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Nick asks, what match from Revolution blew your expectations out of the water? I'll be honest, the Iron Man match. I was like, I don't know if it was going to be good or not. But they killed it. They really did. They absolutely killed it. I should have known better. MJF is a terrific wrestler. And, of course, Danielson's a Mount Rushmore guy. So they killed it. They absolutely killed it.
Yeah. No, they did. Absolutely. I mean, that was one match I was hoping would deliver based on who was involved. But it's a daunting task trying to keep people entertained for an hour.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And, they absolutely hit a home run there. Absolutely. Sebastian Garcia asks, assuming MJF keeps his championship all the way until the bidding war of 2024, what are your early predictions for his opponent at Double or Nothing, All Out, in Full Gear? Sebastian picks are Wardlow, Adam Cole, CM Punk. I'm going to say Kenny, Double or Nothing, Phil for All Out. MJF beats Punk twice in Chicago.
Yeah, wow.
Full Gear.
Hangman wins it back.
Yeah.
That win for Hangman was big last night.
It was massive, I know.
That was huge. And the crowd started booing Mox at one point.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm trying to just figure out in my mind who's going to be the person that takes the belt off MJF, probably at like Winter is Coming later this year. Right before he leaves. Let me ask you this. Do you think Tony Khan has an idea? Do you think he knows? Or do you think he's got people lined up? I don't think he does. I think he's going to see how it plays out. I don't know if he knows for sure. I think he's got a couple people lined up that he's hoping will be that person. I think there's Starks. Starks keeps talking about wanting to beat Jericho is because he thinks if he beats Jericho twice, he's at the front of the line. I think Starks is there. I think Cole, with him coming back,
Cole's there.
Being such a huge focus of All Access, I think he's in contention.
I think Punk's there too.
Maybe Punk. I don't think you can discount Wardlow either.
I think Wardlow is definitely. I think Wardlow is the most wait and see. I think it's like, I'm going to very lightly pencil in Wardlow's name and see if we can get him to a good place with the crowd. The crowd likes Wardlow. The crowd likes Wardlow.
Yeah.
It's just as a character, he needs to break through. He needs to get to that place. But it is fascinating that he's TNT champion and MJF is world champion. Like that is fascinating right now.
Yeah. Jack Napier.
Anonymous tip. Napier's cleaning out Axis chemicals.
Thank you, Steve. Asked, do you think Moxley will get his vacation and be off TV for a bit? We were saying this last night on the street. No. That place he wanted to go fishing at, fishing's only good there one time a year.
Yeah, so I would suspect September, October. That's when it's going to be.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Whoa. Okay, so Jeremy Krecklau asked that as well about MJF's next opponent, next big feud. And all your answers, like I'm very pessimistic that they would do Kenny because I think he's gonna be done. But I think
to beat great. MJF or just to feud with him.
To feud with him.
Oh, they'll have. I think if Kenny is leaving, it's all the more reason to have him feud with MJF.
They seem to be taking I don't know. Maybe. Billy Gibson says, with House of Black taking the trios titles, what's next for them? We sort of already talked about that. You'd like to see Miro. Yeah, I don't know. Darby and Sting and somebody else. Not Miro. I don't want to see Darby with Miro. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Miro with Darby and Sting.
No.
They're too like
we already saw that.
Yeah. Miro needs to have like some cool tag. Miro needs to have like the Butcher and the Blade back when they first showed up in AEW. Two like mystery cool dudes like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like who are these guys? They need to bring in some dudes who are really good wrestlers and just completely rebrand them to like Miro acolytes, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Adam Bull says, are you guys going to react to Raw tonight? We're going to react to Raw tomorrow on our review. Let's see here. Higgs Meister General says, was that the best AEW pay-per-view ever? Probably not.
It was
best is subjective. If you think it's best, it's best.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite one of all time.
But it was top to bottom, it was a solid wrestling show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sammy Garcia asked, do you think Jungle Boy has peaked? He really needs to turn the corner on something from a character standpoint.
He does. He's got charisma.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean, he's a handsome looking dude. But like when he speaks, I don't know that it like really comes through the camera all that much. He needs to find something. Sometimes you just got to find something. Angelic Wolf says, in kayfabe, why didn't Ruby Soho help Saraya in the match and have one of them win the title? Because I like your idea that she didn't come into that decision until after the match.
Yep. Time Moore asked, does it matter if weekly TV for AEW has been lacking if the pay-per-views turn out to be as amazing as Revolution was? As good as Revolution was, if you had stronger stories leading into the show, it would have been a much better show. You've been much more invested in the outcome of every single one of those bouts.
And you only have 4 pay-per-views a year, not including Forbidden Door. And you can't have 4 shows a year be compelling and 52 shows a year not be compelling.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not good. Not good engagement. Let's see here. Anonymous Goonhausen says, has AEW dropped the ball with their top merch seller in Danhausen after the tag match last night? No, Danhausen sells, I think, a ton of merch because his merch is beautiful.
Yeah, his stuff looks great.
It's gorgeous. And number 2, Danhausen's the kind of guy who seemingly doesn't need to like wrestle or win for that to be the case. So no, he was on pay-per-view. He's wildly popular.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wonder how much merch Orange Cassidy sells. Probably a lot.
I would imagine a lot. Poe456. Well, so we didn't really talk about this. What's AEW going to do with Ricky Starks now? Where does Ricky Starks go next?
That's a good question. Who's another upper mid-carder he can feud with?
Who's another guy who he really benefits from with a win? Who's a bad guy? Joe. If Joe's going to stick around AEW and not just do Ring of Honor.
You know, it'd be a huge win for Starks if he beat Mox.
Oh, shit. Wow. That would be huge. I wonder if he's there yet, if they think he's there yet. That could be. Let's see here. Mark Marquez says, am I wrong, or does AEW have to add Jade to this women's feud now that Ruby went heel? Yeah, we talked about that in the show, and I think that's probably the case.
Yeah. Cameron here asks, since Hangman officially became the Hangman, what other wrestler should literally become their nickname? Like
Brian Cage, the Machine.
Actually become an architect, or Brian Cage actually become a machine.
He actually becomes the Machine.
I mean, I would be quite happy if Samoa Joe literally became the king of television.
That would be awesome. That'd be great. I feel like that's like a talk show host.
Yeah, I'd be super happy if Samoa Joe had like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock prime time.
Has anybody taken the Conan O'Brien slot on TBS?
I don't
Have
think
him
so.
take that over. Samoa Joe late
Samoa
night.
Joe, the king of television.
Here's late night with Samoa Joe. Dun 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 dun. But it's like different from the Tonight Show.
Change the melody.
Dun 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 dun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be great. The Late Show with Samoa Joe.
That's good.
Let's see here. Fluffy asks, assuming the elite are ready to jump ship, who would be their first feud? He says Judgment Day with Jay White. I think that'd be fantastic.
That'd be good.
That'd be great.
That would be good.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I am out of questions here on the members thread.
I think we've covered most everything between questions here and show. So,
all right. Well, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to bring Paul in.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot.
Triple A. How could you forget about that? Triple H.
It's been a long show, man.
He's gonna call in. Hold on. I got to get a swig of water. I'm so thirsty. Exclusively why I took that drink of water. So, because he's gonna big Raw tonight. So,
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions lined up for the game beyond
I'm
what's gonna happen on Raw?
I'm sure he'll share his opinions on Revolution last night. I would guess.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. I'm gonna zoom him in here.
All right,
dude. Hello, hi. This is Paul Levesque, the King of Kings, Game of Games. Do you want to play the game?
What game you playing?
Monopoly. Because we are wrestling in the wrestling world. Revolution AEW. Oh, it's Monday. You're already interrupting the game of games. Because WWE were totally a monopoly on the wrestling world. AEW Revolution, nothing. Nobody bought that piece of crap. Like, maybe 50 people watched that show last night.
Sounds like over 100,000. But anyways, Monopoly is one of those games that kind of goes and goes and just kind of peters out. It's not really. I really thought Monopoly was terribly fun.
Nobody actually cares when anybody wins. Like, oh, you got all the properties. Okay, fine. I'm going to go play some Xbox,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, let's play some. You going to play some Stratego? You ever played that?
I've played Stratego. I am the King of Kings, the game of games.
That's Stratego?
I like Uno.
Yeah, Uno's great. I love Uno.
All right, let's talk about Raw.
All right, let's talk about Raw. Triple H.
Why are you wearing...
For Raw?
Whoa, hold on a second. What is happening right now? Why are you wearing sunglasses?
I don't know. It's bright in here.
You interrupted my eye contact with you. I don't like that. Why? That's weird. You're throwing me off my game? All right, listen.
I mean, you're the cerebral assassin. You should have an easy comeback for this.
Are those blenders? Those blenders I wears? They look like blenders.
I think so.
First up. Do. The time is up. The game is now. John Cena returns to Monday Night Raw.
That's very exciting. It's in Boston. That's Cena's hometown.
Boston.
You're from Connecticut, aren't you?
Yeah, from Connecticut.
That's relatively close by.
Yeah, it's kind of close by. It's like a quick train ride there. Boston. So John Cena's coming. Excited about the leader of C Nation.
I mean, I've never been a huge Cena
I'm
guy.
the leader of Game Nation, DX Nation. He's going to fight Austin Theory.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Pretty obvious that we're going there.
Yeah, pretty obvious. This should be exciting. Jimmy Uso needs to finish Sami Zayn once and for all.
That's what the tribal chief says. He says, Jimmy, you got to go finish off on Sami Zayn.
No, not finish off, finish Sami Zayn.
He's got to go finish off on Sami Zayn. I was like, wow, tribal chief.
No.
That is pretty risque. Also, Seth freaking Rollins, big Triple H guy, invites Logan Paul. He's an influencer, millions of followers. And he's going to meet him face-to-face on Monday Night Raw.
Then it says Bianca Belair to square off against Carmella.
Fabobus, Carmella's Fabulous. It's gonna be a good match. So here's the problem with that is that we got Bianca Belair. Everybody loves her, right? She's the best.
Yeah.
You got Asuka. She's also everybody loves her. So you need somebody in this feud that people actually don't like. You gotta have two people who just everybody likes.
That's funny. That's what Steve says too about all this.
This is because it's true. Wait, who? You're Steve. What are you talking about? I know you're confused. You're talking about Fat John Cena.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. I feel like you're half paying attention to me right now. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to the game.
What's next, Triple H?
John Gargano. John goes head to head with Finn Balor of the Judgment. What are you looking at? Stop interrupting my eye contact.
I was seeing if the rain had started. It's supposed to rain today. Sorry, it just occurred to me.
Oh my! It's about to rain. It's about to rain pedigrees on you.
I got flooding issues in my backyard. I don't want my backyard to flood.
Drainage.
Yeah, drainage issues.
You need better drainage.
Yeah, I do. Do you like that movie? There Will Be Blood.
What movie? I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right. Finally,
drainage.
Says Kevin Owens takes on the Bloodline Solo Sikoa.
I have a milkshake, and you have a milkshake, and I have a straw goes all the way to your milkshake.
From There Will Be Blood.
I drink your milkshake. It's a metaphor that I heard somewhere. The Kevin Owens takes on the Bloodline Solo Sikoa. Wait. Was this like on SmackDown?
No.
Or last week?
Was a Raw Superstar.
Oh, it was Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa. That's right.
Yeah.
Cross-pollination of storylines. That's what's going on right now.
Oh, that's what it is. All right.
So Kevin Owens is going to take on Solo Sikoa now. And then Sami Zayn's getting involved because they both have the same objective, but one of them wants to stay away from the other one. And it's like, why can't you guys just make up? You're like best friends and stuff. Or are you interrupting me while you're drinking? That's a drink interruption. You're using every conceivable sense to interrupt me. And I don't appreciate any of it.
Sorry, I was thirsty.
You're thirsty? I'm going to drown you in sledgehammers and pedigrees.
Still thirsty.
I drink your milkshake. Fine. You're going to disrespect the game? I'm fine. I don't like it.
No disrespect. I'm just thirsty.
Yes, disrespect to the game. I'm supposed to be a guest on your channel, this pissant channel.
I was giving you the floor.
Maybe I'll go to JD's channel because you guys are garbage.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. No, I'm not going to go over there. Screw that. Anyways, I'm going to... Goodbye, everybody. I got to go do stuff.
Bye, Triple H.
Man, how would that go? That go good?
You know, part of me is just trying to find ways to, I don't know, throw him off his game a little bit.
Whoa! You're playing mind games with the king of the game of games?
Maybe.
Oh my God!
I was thirsty. I was drinking some water, and he was like, "Oh, you trying to interrupt me by drinking water?" I'm like, "No, I'm
you're
thirsty.
Interrupting him with water? That's not
I'm just
nice
drinking. He's talking. He doesn't like being interrupted, so I'm going to hydrate while he's talking."
He doesn't like being interrupted, man. We lost like 50 people in that segment. Oh man. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We had a lot of people tune in today. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We didn't even have to beg, and we got to 213 likes today.
At least Triple H be happy about that.
Thank you, everybody. I'm sure he's happy about that. Might not be happy with you.
If Triple H was still here, how would he say thank you to everybody for 200 likes?
Oh man, let me see if I can do a Triple H impression because I'm sort of out of practice. Let me see here. Thank you, everybody, for 213 likes. Suck it.
Sounds more like Undertaker. You can do a better Triple H.
Okay. I got it. Thanks, everybody, for getting us to two.
Stop. Stone Cold.
Thank you for 213 likes, Mike. Maurice. That's Maurice. Okay, I'll try to do Triple H. Hey, everybody, this is Triple H. Thank you for 220 likes. He does that a lot. He goes, a lot.
He does do that. You've done better. But all right.
I'll work on that. I'll work on it. It's not my strongest impression. Anyways, thanks everybody. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.